All right, my algebra students, since I'm not able to be with you today and we normally go over the warm-up together, I thought we could at least do it this way. So after you have done warm-up number 5, take a look and see if you agree with my work. First thing I'm going to use after I write the original equation is the distributive property. So I'm going to pass the 3 out as the multiplier to both terms inside. And don't forget to justify your steps. And then what I'm going to do is I want to eliminate that n. I don't want him over there. So I'm going to use the additive inverse property. And I'm going to simplify. 6n minus n gives me 5n. And we did our job. N minus n, they go away and we're left with the constant 22. And now I would like to get rid of this constant, so I'm going to use the additive inverse property again, which states if we add the opposite, we get 0. So I'm going to simplify. And the last step in this particular problem is using the multiplicative identity. So I want 1n, not 5 n's. And the way that I get 1 is by multiplying by its reciprocal. So if I do 1/5 of 5, I get 1n, but I have to do the same on the other. And 1/5 of 40 is 8. And that is our multi-step equation. Now, once you looked at the tables for the plant growth problem, I noticed first that there were 2 different plants. So I just made 2 different tables. It helps me. I'm a visual person. I like to see them separated. So I'm going to say that my D is for the day. That's my input. And my output is H, which stands for the height in millimeters of each plant. And on day 4, it was 13 millimeters, day 5, 17 millimeters, and so on. And I do know that, or I do see a steady growth. It looks like it is growing 4 millimeters a day. And what's interesting is if I look at plant B, it too is growing at the same rate each day. So they have the same growth. Their growth is 4. And remember, that's our m in our equation, y equals mx plus b. So I'm sort of skipping, I'm not following the order of the questions. I want to first find what height would each plant be on the day it was planted, otherwise known as day 0. And what I could do is I could extend my table all the way to day 0, but instead I'm going to use algebra. And algebra states that I can find a missing variable if I know the other variables. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use our rule, y equals mx plus b, and I'm going to try to find b. And all I have to do is replace these variables with values. So we already talked about the fact that our m is 4. And then I'm just going to go up here and pick any pair of numbers. I'm going to pick 4 and 13. So I'm going to replace my D with that 4, or my X, because that's my input. And I'm going to replace my Y with the height, the output, 13. And right here, I can solve for B. I can find B, or what height the plant was on day 0, by just solving this equation. I'm using the additive inverse property. And right there, I see that B, or the height of the plant on day 0 was a -3, which seems sort of weird. But if you think about it, if we're planting a plant and that's the ground, maybe I planted a seed 3 millimeters beneath the ground. Now on this one, I'm going to find the B also. I'm just going to replace values that I know. Once again with plant B, it was growing by 4. And I'm just going to go ahead and use a point for my X and Y values. So on day 4, it was 18. And I'm going to go ahead and solve for B. So with my plant B, it looks like it was 2 millimeters when I planted it. So if I'm thinking about it, that's my ground. It was like a little plant already. It was 2 millimeters above ground. So that's how I found the B or the Y intercept instead of having to extend my table. And now I'm going to go to the last question, which was really the first question. We want a rule for each plant. So remember the Y in our table really identified the height of the plant. The M is our growth. It was growing by a rate of 4 per day. And I'm going to replace the X with a D because that's what we have in our table. And we just found out that the B or the Y-intercept was -3. So that's the rule for plant A. The rule for plant B is going to be the height of the plant is 4 times the number of days plus 2. So that is the warm-up. I hope that helped. And if you have questions, we could talk about them next time we meet. Have a great day.